When parents pass away, the ones who often loot orphaned children are the very closest relatives who claim to care for them. This is my true story. When I was a little girl, there was peace in our home. There was happiness. Our house was located in an upscale neighborhood of New York City. It was a magnificent mansion. Its courtyard was lush with greenery, and because of the colorful flowers, it looked like a garden. Childhood is never a time one forgets anyway. No matter how it passes, my mom came from a large family, while my dad was from a wealthy family. He had his own business. God blessed him, and he became a millionaire. Dad's wealth was the foundation of our home, and it was overflowing, impossible to contain. My dad's name was John. My uncle also had a business, but his business kept declining day by day, whereas Dad's business grew twice as much by day and 4 times by night. Eventually, he became one of the few richest people in New York. Dad loved his family deeply. His family was small, 2 brothers and 1 sister, who had moved to California many years ago after getting married. Uncle would often come to meet Dad, and whenever he came, he would cry about the ruin of his business. His financial situation had become terrible. Uncle wished that my dad would make him a partner in his business. Dad was a kind-hearted man. Seeing his brother's troubles, he made him a partner. Thus, Uncle became a partner in our business. His investment was just in name. All the wealth was Dad's. Uncle Richard had 2 daughters and 1 son, Alex. They thought that if they got me married to Alex, the business would automatically come to Alex, and they would become its guardians. Time passed. The love between Dad and Uncle grew. Besides business, their thinking became aligned in other matters too, but I had no knowledge of my elders' intentions. Our house was located in an upscale neighborhood of New York City. It was a magnificent mansion. God's will was such that death took Dad away too soon, and Mom and I were left alone in this world. During childhood, our home was well managed. Uncle wished that my dad would make him a partner in his business. Dad was a kind-hearted man. Seeing his brother's troubles, he made him a partner. Thus, Uncle became a partner in our business. Those days, I was in high school. At that time, Alex supported me a lot. Otherwise, I might not have even been able to take my exams. Our housekeeper, Aunt Sarah, took great care of me. She had been in our home for the past 15 years and was as dear to us as a family member. She had raised me since childhood and gave me motherly love. For the first year, Uncle and Aunt Woman treated us well, but then greed started creeping into their intentions. I wanted to continue my education, but Uncle didn't want me to study further, so he stopped me from enrolling in college, while Alex was sent to London for higher education. It's a fact that young people who go abroad often settle there permanently. They face a new world, and if their goals are fulfilled there, they never think of returning. At least, that was our experience. Mom grew sicker day by day, worrying about me. She was constantly haunted by the thought that if she wasn't around, what would happen to me? Of course, being the only heir, I was the owner of all of Dad's property. But, at that time, the business and property were under Uncle's control. Gradually, Aunt Woman's and Uncle's behavior towards us changed. Aunt Woman wasn't treating my mom well. She wasn't getting proper medical care, and neglect was being done deliberately. Mom had realized that Uncle and Aunt Woman had planned to seize her late husband's wealth and property. Mom's maternal family was poor, and Dad had very little contact with them, so expecting anything from them was useless. I was young, unaware of my relatives' intentions. But when our housekeeper, Aunt Sarah, also realized that Uncle and Aunt Woman's intentions weren't pure, she started taking even more care of us. She wanted that the medicines Aunt Woman gave Mom, she herself should give with her own hands. But Aunt Woman wouldn't even let her come near the medicines. Due to these medicines, my mom's condition was worsening day by day. Aunt Sarah would tell Aunt Woman, "Ma'am, change the medicines. Show her to another doctor. This treatment is making Ma'am's health even worse." But she would angrily say, "You stay quiet. Don't speak on things you don't know about." Thus, she would scold her into silence. Aunt Woman would even sleep next to Mom at night. She would give the medicine with her own hands, but she never thought of taking her to a proper doctor. Aunt Sarah, motherly love. Before dying, my mom told Aunt Sarah, "I suspect Aunt Woman is giving me the wrong medicine. When the medicine goes in, my heart comes to my mouth. She's giving me something whose poison is slowly taking effect. The result was that my mom withered away rapidly within 2 months and left this world. During those days, they sent me to my mom's sister's house, saying that seeing mom's condition makes me cry, and then mom starts crying too. I didn't want to go there, but because of Uncle, I was forced to obey his order since we were under his mercy. God knows how mom realized this. Anyway, whether this suspicion was correct or not, I can't say, but it's a fact that my mom, who was previously healthy and fine, suddenly passed away. My mom left this world. The devastation that fell on my heart. May God never let anyone experience it. A doll-like girl raised in a home was shattered by the cruel storms of circumstances. I was only 16 years old when I suddenly turned into a sensible girl whose own people had become her worst enemies, and she had to live among them. I, who was once a playful and pampered girl, became fond of solitude and as serious as an elder. I drowned in an ocean of silence. When it was time for college admission, Uncle declared, "She has no parent's shadow over her head. Times are bad, and I have a big responsibility. Emanuela will not study further. Instead, I want to get her married soon and be free of this big responsibility." I loved studying so much. Who knows what dreams my parents had for me? I never imagined that after high school I wouldn't even get to see the face of college. I couldn't bear this injustice. I would cry until I was exhausted. Then, I would go sit in Aunt Sarah's quarters and cry my heart out. Aunt Woman also wanted me to stay away from her sight. She had no objection to me sitting in the staff quarters. A big reason for this was that whenever good proposals came for her daughters, the matchmakers would like me instead. And this really bothered Aunt Woman. She wanted that whenever someone came to see her daughters, I shouldn't be in front. One day, I overheard Aunt Woman telling Uncle Richard, "Make some arrangements for your niece. Because of her, my daughter's proposals aren't coming. When she appears, the visitor's eyes get stuck on her face. Michael is my friend. His wife has passed away. He's in a high position. He's older but wealthy. He needs a second marriage. If he gets a young girl, he'll be happy, because he has no children and desires offspring. If this match happens, a big burden will lift from my head." Hearing Uncle's words, I drowned in an ocean of thoughts. Oh God, what is going to happen to me now? Will Uncle really marry me off to someone twice his age? Thinking this, I became sad. I told this to Aunt Sarah, and she became worried too. She said there's only one way. If we can contact your aunt from California, maybe she can stop Richard. I said, how can I contact her? She didn't even come when Mom and Dad passed away. I don't have her address or phone number, and Uncle will never give it to us. Alex also got married in London. Now, I can't rely on him either. While we were lost in these thoughts, one day Uncle invited Mr. Michael for dinner. Very elaborate food was prepared. Aunt Woman dressed me up beautifully and seated me at the dining table. Seeing me, Mr. Michael was stunned. For a moment, surprise was on his face. Then signs of regret became apparent. He thought to himself, what has happened to these people? They have no mercy even on this child. Will I really marry this little girl at 55? He thought Richard's niece would be 10, 15 years younger than him, but such a big age gap wasn't even in his wildest imagination. Seeing me, his face fell completely. Uncle also sensed the expressions on his face. Actually, Mr. Michael had spent a large part of his life abroad. Uncle invited Mr. Michael. Face fell completely. He said, I want to talk to Emanuela privately, if you don't mind, because I want to know the girl's consent. I don't believe in force in marriage. Uncle Richard and Aunt Woman had to acknowledge the importance of his words. They said, yes, why not? We don't see any harm in it. A girl's consent is necessary, but in our culture, elders decide marriage matters. Girls are naive. They don't know what's good or bad for them. Mr. Michael said, fine, elders decide matters. But if the girl herself says she has no objection to this match, it will be my great fortune. Uncle and Aunt Woman were forced. They left us at the dining table and went to another room. I called Aunt Sarah and seated her next to me. I told Mr. Michael, she is like my mother. You can ask whatever you want to in front of her. Mr. Michael said, are your uncle and aunt trying to force me into marriage with you without asking you? I stayed silent. Then he said, look, Emanuela, you are much younger than me, and there should be no force in a relationship like marriage. I don't want to make any decision without your will. You look only 17, whereas marriage of a girl under 18 is not legally possible. The court doesn't allow it either. Anyway, that's for later. For now, just tell me this. Can you accept me as your husband? Do you want to get married at such a young age? Aunt Sarah encouraged me and said, "Daughter, answer. Tell him the truth." I strengthened my heart, but instead of words coming from my tongue, tears flowed from my eyes. I said, "Uncle, this is not possible. I cannot accept you as my husband. God knows why Uncle wants to forcibly marry me to you. I just wanted to enroll in college, but my father's shadow has been lifted from my head, and now I am helpless. Uncle is my only guardian." Mr. Michael said gently, "Don't worry, Emanuela. If Richard is your uncle, you call me uncle. Now it's my duty to educate you further." Then he permitted it, said, "Now you can go." I returned to my room with Aunt Sarah. "Can you accept me?" Tears flowed. Uncle immediately went to him and asked, "Michael, what happened? Did the girl save our honor?" Mr. Michael replied, "Yes, but on one condition. She loves studying further, and I will accept her only if she completes her education first." Uncle said, "Yes, agreed. But you perform the marriage ceremony." Mr. Michael said, "We'll do the marriage ceremony after some time. First, get her admitted to college. She wants to study arts, which is not available in any college in this city. For that, she needs admission to New York University of Arts. She wants to study arts, New York University." Uncle said, "No problem. Now get Emanuela admitted to New York University of Arts. She can stay in a girls' hostel. Once these steps are complete, we'll do the marriage too." But Uncle didn't agree to my admission to a college in another city. He refused to send me to New York and said, "If she wants admission to a local college, I'll do it. But I'm not okay with sending a girl to a hostel. Yes, if you get married right now, then get her admitted wherever you want under your responsibility." Mr. Michael said, "Fine, then give me some time. I'll think and reply." He took a month's extension. During this time, he got Alex and Aunt from California's phone number from one of my dad's relatives and went to Aunt in California. There, he informed Aunt of the whole situation and forced her to come to New York and take care of Emanuela. Aunt came to New York. Mr. Michael said Richard wants to marry off his young niece to someone my age in the pursuit of seizing his brother's business, wealth, and property. To me, Emanuela is like my own niece, but protecting her is your duty. Aunt loved my dad very much. She immediately came to New York and took me under her care. Her son Daniel also came with her. Aunt got me married to Daniel and left me at her sister-in-law's house. Aunt got me married to Daniel. Daniel stayed in New York for 3 months. He hired a lawyer and filed a case against Uncle. Mr. Michael was made the Attorney General for the case. Also, Daniel's uncle, who was a lawyer himself, took over the case proceedings. I stayed in New York for some time. When all legal papers were completed, Daniel came back to New York and took me with him to California. Aunt's brother-in-law also handled the case expenses. Whenever needed, he would call us. The case went on for a long time. He hired a lawyer. Case went on. Finally, my and Aunt's rights were given to us, and Uncle Richard got only the share that was rightfully his. Dad's mansion was also returned to us because Uncle had to vacate the house. Finally, Uncle had to vacate. I am very grateful to Uncle Michael. If that kind-hearted man hadn't helped me, no one would have cared for my condition. Today, I am living a prosperous life in California. Through my story, I want to say that when parents pass away, the ones who loot orphaned children are often the very closest relatives who claim to care for them. Today, I am living claim to care for them.